2007 was the peak of childhood computer games. You had fun, exhilarating games like Webkinz and competitive and strong games like Club Penguin. But that was all about to change when a brand new game was on the market, Shining Stars. Shining Stars was created by Raspberry Inc. in collaboration with the International Star Registry to help kids learn a little bit more about space. The main focal point of the game was all things about space and stars and galaxies and everything in between. Similarly to Webkinz, Shining Stars also had an adorable little plushie that you can buy that came with an exclusive online code that you can use to redeem at shiningstars.com. Once the code was redeemed, you were able to name the pet whatever you may want. It could be literally anything. But there was an exclusive feature that was on Shining Stars that was a little bit different from all the competitors. With the help of the International Star Registry, you were also able to name a Cosmo in the sky. That's right, you were able to name a Cosmo in the actual sky. So in their years running, they made over 150 different pets that you could choose from. They had like dragons and cows and poodles and frogs and everything in between. During this time, they were able to sell 5 million Shining Stars plushies, which is crazy. And on top of that, they were able to also do 2 million Cosmos in the sky named after whatever these kids wanted. Once your Cosmo was named in the sky, you actually got a legit certificate from the International Star Registry that you can use and you can print it out and show it off to all of your friends. So now let's talk about branching out. With the rising popularity in Shining Stars, the company decided to invest millions of dollars into promoting their game in every way possible. They started by producing animated short series that players could watch on shiningstars.com. This web series was all about the original 24 Shining Stars trying to prevent the dark star from dulling their shine. But they were able to prosper and they were able to be the shining stars that they are. It's a cute little web series and I totally recommend watching it. They have some available on YouTube still, but it's only some of the episodes. Like for some reason, some of them are missing on the YouTube. So you should totally go check those out. I'll leave a link to those in the description if you guys want to go watch them. They're cute for kids, I would say so. But from there, you guys, they went even bigger. They went from DVDs, they went to commercials, and they went to even a Nintendo DS game, which I will get into because the Nintendo DS game is crazy. Released on June 9th, 2008, Shining Stars decided to branch out to a DS game called Shining Stars Super Starcade. Retailing for only $20, this game was basically a pocket version of the actual website, but in a fun, more exhilarating way. Now, the game featured all of the parts of Shining Stars, minus the actual redeeming a code and the International Star Registry, but other than that, everything else was featured on this game. However, this time they decided to reach out to a different type of game. They went from a star game to a carnival game? I have no idea. The main goal of the game was to buy amusement attractions, and those amusement attractions had little mini games inside. And when you play those mini games, you were able to earn Glowpoints, which you could use to redeem and buy more attractions that made more mini games, and you just got more Glowpoints, and the cycle would just keep continuing until you had an amazing amusement park. Now, according to a review, they were actually saying that the game was pretty similar to shiningstars.com, just in a carnival version. I'll leave a link to that review in the description. Since I never played this game firsthand, I don't have a firsthand review on the game, but this person does, so I'll leave that in the description if you guys want to go ahead and read all about that. Now, during this time, Shining Stars received a lot of backlash for copying games like Webkinz and Club Penguin. I remember on YouTube, there were a lot of videos that were just like, Shining Stars versus Webkinz, you have to pick a side. There's no in between. And for me personally, I love the exhilarating of this, but a lot of younger kids were just really not having it. Like you either had to pick Webkinz or Shining Stars and that was it. So after all of that, with the fighting and the DS game, they decided to go even bigger. They decided to put a big budget into a commercial. And this commercial is what ultimately got me and a bunch of other people into Shining Stars. This commercial was so big that it was featured on the 3 main streaming platforms growing up: Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and Cartoon Network. It had all 3 covered, you guys. And I will admit, the jingle was pretty catchy. I still think about that to this day. Sometimes I'll even hum it in my head. I'm like, shining star, a star that you own that you can play. I was like, ooh, like I loved that commercial. Listen, one thing about me is that I'm a sucker for marketing. I love marketing a game. So if you can market a game pretty well to a little 7-year-old me, you had it golden at that point. Like you were just able to get anyone's appeal. It's crazy because I devoted half of my life to Webkinz, but after seeing that commercial, I kind of had a change of pace and I was like, I'm gonna go buy a Shining Star. So I actually had 4 Shining Stars and my brother had 3. And we just played all the time, me and my brother. We would always play Shining Stars. We would go from like Beanie Babies to Webkinz to Club Penguin, and then we went to Shining Stars. And we would just go back and forth between all 4 of the games every night just to level up and compete and just do everything. So speaking of competing, let's get into the overall gameplay of Shining Stars. There was a pretty intense gameplay going on. I actually really liked the gameplay of this game. So reiterating what I said earlier, you were able to get a exclusive code that you were used to redeem online, name your pet whatever you wanted, customize it however you wanted. But it didn't stop there, because after you did the pet and the International Star Registry, Cosmo, you were able to create your own avatar, which I thought was pretty cool. So in your avatar customization, you can able to change the skin tone, the hair type, the eyes, everything, the color of the hair, everything. It was able to be uniquely you, which I love about this game. So some games like Webkinz and Club Penguin, they're just strictly animals, but this game kind of branched out into having a human form of yourself as well as a little animal, which I thought was pretty cool. And the cool thing about this game is that they released new clothes like every month. So you were always able to get an exclusive item for a different holiday or for a different special event going on, whether it be an anniversary or a holiday like Christmas or Halloween or whatever. They always had exclusive in-game outfits, which I thought was pretty cool too. So they were able to branch out for that, not only for your avatar, but also for your pet as well. So now let's get into things that you could do on the game. So after you did the initial startup, there were some really cool features that you could do once you started playing. One of my personal favorite things was the MyStarSpace, which is very similar to MySpace for kids. And I loved it. It was basically like, I couldn't have MySpace growing up, so I had MyStarSpace, which is pretty similar. Honestly, just in a kid format and on a kid's website that I had to buy a plushie for. A little different, but it was very similar in the name. I was like, MyStarSpace, MySpace? So similar. I can finally have a MySpace page at the ripe age of 7. Ooh, I don't know about that. So the cool thing about this is that you were able to show off your personal aesthetic. So they had like grungy type, they had a more like pretty kawaii type, they had a pretty normal like straight edge, like they had like nerdy, they had like a whole different types of aesthetics that you could choose from to customize your personal profile. And as well, you can also talk about your favorite foods, your favorite animals, your favorite colors, all that kind of stuff. And also what was good about the MyStarSpace was that you were able to interact with your buddies, do a little chatting, and you could follow them if they were like in a different world or they were playing a mini game you wanted to play with them. So that was also a cool feature that MyStarSpace had. You can actually follow your friends and do whatever they were doing. So speaking of following your friends, you can go into the cool and fun Starcade. So Starcade was basically their arcade, and you could play a bunch of different games. They had so many different games. So whether you wanted to play solo or multiplayer with your friends, you could play fun word games, strategy games, puzzle games, fashion games. They had a whole bunch of different games that you could choose from. And in the process of playing all these games, you can earn Glowpoints, which you can use to redeem them for fun stuff. So basically, speaking about Glowpoints is basically the Shining Stars in-game currency that you could use to get exclusive fashion, or you could use to customize your animal, whatever you wanted. You had an infinite amount of choices, but there was one choice that was super different than anything else in any other game that I've ever seen before. So basically something a little bit different was that players can use their Glowpoints to donate to the Starlight Foundation. That's right. At the ripe age of 5, 6, 7, 8, you were able to donate to a charity, which I thought was so cool. Now, looking back on it, corporate greed kind of got the best of me, and I definitely used my Glowpoints to buy fashion. I probably didn't donate anything, but if this was to exist right now, I probably would use it to donate to charity, because that's a really cool thing. So basically, you would use your Glowpoints to donate to the Starlight Foundation, and then Shining Stars would match that Glowpoints donation into actual money that they would donate to the charity, which I thought was really cool. And I loved how involved they were with the community. They were just like, you guys want to benefit the community? Fine. Take your Glowpoints and we'll donate it to a charity, which is so insane because it's just an in-game currency. Like, you didn't really have to pay much for it. You just had to pay the $20 for the plush. You don't have to pay. They had no like membership. They had like no advanced point buying. Like, you couldn't buy points. Like, you could only earn them from the Starcade. So it was like, I thought that was so interesting that you could just use those points to donate to charity and they would match it and donate the exact amount of money. It's like, what? Like, that's probably what led to their downfall, which we'll talk about later on. So another cool feature that Shining Stars had that I really, really loved. Like, this was one of my favorite features. So they had the Star Video Creator and the Star Spotlight program. So this allowed players to create cool videos and be featured in their leaderboard. Ooh, I love a leaderboard. If you know me, I love to compete. So a leaderboard was perfect for me. So back when video editing was really hard to learn, unless you were like an infinite pro at Windows Live Movie Maker, video editing was super hard. However, several different types of games feature this kind of video editing. So Webkinz had their little play studio, Movie Star Planet had their like Movie Star editor thing, but Shining Stars had their Shining Stars editor, and it was insane. I could arguably say that this is probably one of the best video editor in-game things that I've ever seen in my life. The transitions, the effects, the rotations, anything you wanted, you could do on this. It was basically like Windows Live Movie Maker, but kind of better, honestly, now that I think about it. It's just the infinite range of transitions, effects, like, it was just so perfect that I can honestly say confidently, like, this is probably one of the best video editings in a game. Probably to this day, because even like with Webkinz and Movie Star Planet, it was a little bit limited, but I felt that like with Shining Stars, you could really express your creativity and freedom. Like there was a bubble chat that they had, but it was a little more advanced than like Webkinz at the time. And Movie Star Planet didn't exist at this time, so I'm not even gonna talk about that. But Webkinz was basically like, hey, hi, hello, how are you? This was like, merrily we fall out of line, and then you could do like the transitions and the effects and like boom, fireworks, like OMG, hey girly, like oh my god, let's make a video together, and then it's like fireworks, they kiss, romance. Like it was dramatic and I loved it. I ate everything about it, and it only gets better. So each week they would do a weekly contest that players could enter and be featured on their Star Spotlight page. So this page showcased the best of the best in video editing. At like the small age of 7, this was my dream to be on that page. Basically, the leaderboard was an incentive for people to grind harder in video editing, to really get in the stew and start producing, creating, editing, going hard with this. So that way you could be featured on that leaderboard. And on top of that, they would have a monthly ranking, so they would do a first, second, and third place, and those people got exclusive trophies that they could use to show off to everyone on their MyStarSpace. Like, listen, if you had a trophy on your page, oh my god, you were like famous on that game. Like they had a first place trophy, a second place trophy, and a third place trophy, and if you had any of the 3, oh my god, you were famous. I remember just spending so many hours in that movie editing studio being like, how do I get the perfect angle? How do I get what they want? Because they would give you like a theme every week. It could be like fall or winter or summer solstice. Like, oh, go crazy. And it's like, oh my god, I have to really think like, oh my god, I can't be like everyone else. I have to do something crazy. I have to do something different. But it was very exciting. And I had so much fun doing this because I always wanted one of those trophies. And I never got one. Shining Stars, you owe me. You owe me a first place trophy because I deserve it. So you guys, let's talk about what ultimately happened to Shining Stars. It's actually really sad, and oh my gosh. I know it's inevitable, but let's talk about the downfall of what actually happened to Shining Stars. So ultimately, after 4 or 5 years of running this website, they went bankrupt. That's right. The game actually went bankrupt. It's really sad because this was something that I really looked forward to. But I guess it's because they spent a lot of money in marketing their game that they didn't actually focus on the game itself. They would spend so much time donating to charities, promoting them on commercials, and everything they could do to try to get these plushies to sell. And they did. But to a point, it came to a point where they just went bankrupt, and it was really sad. They also tried in 2012, this really breaks my heart, they tried in 2012 to make a fundraiser event to try to like raise money, to try to get their game up and running again, and try to get kids so interested in it. But I think it's just because in the rise of 2011, a lot of popular childhood games like Animal Jam and Movie Star Planet and Vantage and like all these other games started coming on the rise, that Shining Stars just fell right to the bottom. And a game that was once on top was now all the way down because they just couldn't keep up with the times, I guess. They just really didn't have the money. They were just investing it in stupid things like commercials that were like on big stream TVs that they thought would appeal to kids. But it only came to a point where kids could be so interested in, or hearing the same commercial over and over and over again. So alas, the game was done. That was it. Or so we thought. I personally thought after 2012, that was all I was going to hear about Shining Stars. It was never going to come back. But after doing some research, I recently found this out, like a couple of weeks ago. I just found this out. They're sort of back. I don't even know how to explain this. Basically, I was like scrolling through like Shining Stars, just trying to find some things to look up. And apparently Mattel, the creators of Barbie, created a Shining Stars doll. I can't even make this up. I will leave a link to that in the description as well in case you guys want to go look at that, because there's literally a Shining Stars doll. It has the exact same logo as Shining Stars. It's pretty identical, but as a doll. And get this, you could also register a star in the sky, just like Shining Stars. Just like Shining Stars. I'm not really sure how they obtained the rights to Shining Stars. I wonder if maybe Mattel bought out either the International Star Registry, maybe reached out to them to create a similar thing as Shining Stars, or Raspberry just sold it after they went bankrupt to like Mattel, and they're just like, all right, you can have all the money. That's it. We're done. We're tapping out. Hey guys, so it's Editor Cherrioz here. I was actually watching a YouTube video, and apparently Shining Stars dolls have been around since 2002. I did not know this. So apparently they also had the rights to this. I'm not even sure. But they also did a re-release of this, so it's a newer version as well. But yeah, that's a little interesting fact. I guess maybe they also work with the International Star Registry, and they also have the same logo. So weird. I don't know, guys. But yeah, so that's basically it for this deep dive, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do any more deep dives. I have a few on my roster right now that I'm going to be working on, so bear with me, guys. This takes a lot for me to do a lot of research on. This takes a lot for me to do. So please, 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 to help support my channel, make sure you guys subscribe and give a big like, thumbs up this video if you want to see more content like this. And also leave a comment what kind of videos you'd like to see next about this. Bye, guys!